ready.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and County
Get better.
Administration. My name is Kathy Crandall and I direct Homeland Security. My presentation is one that touches lightly on the areas that we cover. A lot of that is because most of what we do is protected under both state and federal law for plans and critical infrastructure and even some of the training that we participate in. The first thing I'd like to point out are the number of security assessments for critical infrastructure and the key resources that we have accomplished this year. We've now completed 46 of the critical infrastructure assessments, completing 6 of the 13 Department of Homeland Security designated sectors that those assessments have to be done. Those assessments then provide the ability for the owner or operator to implement changes to better protect the facility, to train and exercise their employees, and to do that in coordination with local public safety. The priority facilities that we have finished are government-owned and operated, government-owned with private sector operating, public utilities, faith-based, nonprofit with services for the at-risk population, and serving children in congregate with an at-risk population. And that means all of our schools, and especially our schools such as the deaf school or the school where we have a high number of children who do not speak or understand English.
Kathy, do you work with developmental disabilities and their schools?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Good.
We do. We also are covering children's services. And in 2018, we will be moving to all the job and family services locations to do assessment and also do employee training and preparation, planning, and then exercises.
Great.
We have done a lot of training in 2017 for our Homeland Security enterprise partners across the board. That's multidisciplinary, multi-jurisdictional. We have done behavioral and predictive analysis. That enables, in fact, the Sheriff's Office and security forces here at the county are in training this afternoon. We have 4 training classes we provided for them. That enables them to know what to look for without profiling, without making it something that it should not be. It's teaching them how to look for. You can predict this person's going to be a problem if you learn what to look for and you practice how to make that approach to interfere and interrupt. We also have done a security for the distribution centers. We brought all of the distribution centers together because they have moved up on the critical infrastructure list to be one of our top critical infrastructures because the amount of goods, the number of people, and the dollars involved in the flow of our distribution centers is absolutely amazing. And what would happen should that flow be interrupted has reached the top of the critical infrastructure list. In addition, we continue to teach counterterrorism. That's something that is ongoing as those who perpetrate terrorism across the world change their tactics and techniques. We have to train to counter those terrorism tactics and techniques. Radiation and nuclear detection, I wanted to point out, is something that we keyed on in 2017. We have distributed new and the best detection that we have on the market for radiation and nuclear. Those detection units have gone to the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, Columbus Police and Fire, Knox County Sheriff, Marion County Sheriff and Bomb Squad, Wyandotte County, and then we have created, as we have with all of our equipment, a cache for the entire region that sits here within Franklin County, most often at the Sheriff's Office. Next, we have volunteers in public safety support, something that the commissioners know well. In 2017, we completed 3 more classes, training and certifying an additional 86 community volunteers. We're now at about 503 folks who have been fully trained and certified. We maintain those certifications by bringing them back every 2 years to ensure that their certifications are up to date. for 2018, we have 3 classes scheduled, and we're doing 2 special team classes. The folks from the Columbus Police Department came to us and said, we have a Columbus Police Citizens Academy, but our folks then don't do anything. They don't volunteer, they don't know how to get vested in the community. We simply teach them what law enforcement does in Columbus, and they are asking to be part of the Franklin County program. So we are going to bring them into the VIPS program and specialize classes for them so that we broaden tremendously our volunteer cadre. And second, the Ohio State University continues to be one of the most difficult. Every home game, difficult. Every summer concert, difficult. Areas that we have to protect, prevent, let alone respond to or try to recover from. So we are going to create a special team of volunteers with sophomores and juniors at Ohio State University being trained in the VIPS curriculum, and then under the direction of security and the OSU Police Department, but along with the mentorship of our senior volunteers in that program. So there's a list there for you of just a sample of what these volunteers do every year. To date, they have volunteered 3,022 hours. Next, I would like to talk about the grant we got most recently from the Department of Homeland Security. It's called the Complex Coordinated Attack Grant. The Complex Coordinated Attack Grant application, and our intent with this dollars, about $829,000, is to take both the public and the private sector and work on what happens, number one, if we have multiple places attacked at once, which is what is being recommended by ISIL currently in their information sharing with anyone who's willing to listen. So it will be multiple attack, number one, so multiple locations, multiple jurisdictions, Delaware and Franklin County, both public and private will be affected. And we also took special needs, again, into the program. So, as you can see, we've got the Jewish Federation that'll be practicing with us, and that will be one of the attack sites because they are the most targeted group that we have here in Franklin County. Second is the ETSS folks, who are all of the new Americans in training and leadership, and those folks are most vulnerable, again, because they lack the ability to speak, read, or understand English. So that's a great vulnerable population for us to test to see how we do with public safety. The important thing about this grant, in my opinion, is we have 2 other big exercise grant programs out there at the same time. But you heard it from the coroner. The coroner has one for mass fatality, and we have a second one with our SWAT teams working with Chase Bank, private sector. We are going to put both of those into this coordinated attack grant. So we are practicing and exercising the mass fatalities plan that they spent $200,000 to build. We are practicing and exercising the SWAT teams with private sector security. And then we have the CCTA grant as it was written. What was unique? What's unique is we are going to do full-scale exercise first, take a look at everything that went wrong, re-educate and inform our plan for complex coordinated attacks, and then we're going to do a tabletop that focuses on recovery. The truth is, with all of the funds that have come down from the Department of Homeland Security, we have spent those funds, I think, very well on prevention and protection and our ability to respond, to save lives. We have not spent much money, time, or planning on recovery. We have to stand Franklin County back up. How do we bring our visitors back in? How do we get our infrastructure in place for public utilities, transportation, etc.? So the tabletop post-exercise will be focused on recovery. It's planning to strengthen and develop regional planning. It is strengthening the public-private partnership. budget allocation, which is interesting here. The budget breakdown, there are 4 specific sectors on the grant that we're focusing on. Identifying gaps, planning, training, and exercise. Funds are being shared with both public and private. The Franklin County Sheriff's Office has a plan to go to an automatic 12-hour schedule in the event of the big one, or in the event of a natural or man-made disaster. We have never been able to practice moving the entire sheriff's office to 12-hour shifts because it costs the overtime and backfill. This grant is providing the dollars for the overtime and the backfill to test the ability of the sheriff's office to be able to make that move to 12-hour shifts and to make it immediately. And then we're looking at the results. How long can we sustain and maintain 12 hours in the unique positions that folks in the sheriff's office have? Radio communications program, we are looking at, in partnership with the state marks system and the city of Columbus, the necessary expansions. It's amazing how when you go to digital and the radios are so clear, how many more talking groups we have, how many more people take advantage of using the radio instead of their cell phone. So we really have some load issues that we are studying with the Office of Management and Budget's input and direction. We're taking a look at how best to handle that increased traffic. And it's not just Franklin County and Columbus. We have surrounding counties that don't have the strength of equipment that Franklin County and the city of Columbus have been able to provide to our first responders. We have counties that have volunteer firefighters and volunteer law enforcement that can't talk to each other on scene. So we're working to help them too. Regional 911 and communications, Commissioner Brown is now in charge of the governing board for 911, taking over from Commissioner O'Grady's intense work over 5 years, and we are happy to say 2 things. Number 1, we will meet the ORC requirement that we reduce the number of public safety answering points from 5 to 4 by December 31st of this year. The planning committee and the subject matter experts came up with a very interesting solution to be able to maintain and meet the state code, which we will do. And we can say that with Next Gen 911 and the introduction of the statewide ESINET, which is the statewide brain that all of us will have to plug our public safety answering points into to collaborate and coordinate statewide and then federally. We have the plan in place, and text to 911 will be up by the second quarter of 2018. Commissioners, those are the highlights, and that is the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Wow. Wow.
Moving on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Board of Elections. Follow that.
Wow.
Everything's paid for, right, Ed?